So first issue we can run into is Andy's forearm framing against my hip. So even if I get this locked up and he's got that forearm framing against my hip, what that's going to do is it can often make it hard for me to end up stepping over his head. He keeps sort of like bending my leg away and make it really hard for me to get over the top and stop his head from coming up, right? The reason this becomes a big issue is because even if I do the other stuff, bring his shoulder up, start lifting well with my elbow, if I'm not controlling his head, if I can't step over, Andy just keeps sitting up, and if he gains more height, I end up on my back. This isn't the end of the world. We are going to work on something later tonight for when I do lose that battle and he manages to sit up. We're going to work on a couple of options for that. But for now, we'd rather not get it in the first place. We want to stay on top. So when my partner is framing away against my hip, whether I've set up this Kimura grip or not, what I'm going to do is rather than switching my hips to face towards his head, I'm going to switch to face the other way. And I want to drop my left hips, my hip closest to his head. I want to drop it on his wrist, right? So I want to go over the top this direction. Right? It starts to sometimes wrist lock your partner in a way, and from here I can start to back step a little bit. So now I've moved my hips away from his frame. From here, I wedge my knee back in. So I'm doing like a scissor motion with my legs, wedge my knee back in, switch hips to face the other way, and I've cleared past his frame, and now we can go back to stepping over, lifting up, tucking that hand behind. Right? Next issue that we can run into is sometimes when you're going to finish, Andy might start to straighten his arm out a little bit. Especially when his shoulder is flat on the floor, this can be pretty annoying because I can't finish without a good bend in his arm. Can't finish Kimura without a bend in his arm. We do have options like cutting arm bars from here, where I do have an arm bar in this position. We won't look at that in detail tonight, but we will later on. Let's look at how we can actually force that bend. What becomes really important from here is lifting his shoulder off the floor. So we're going to do the same as before. Push off the floor, and I'm going to start to lift. Now from here, now that the floor isn't aiding Andy anymore in keeping his arms straight, we can start to stuff his, stuff the thumb towards the inside of his elbow, towards his bicep. So from here, we start rotating and stuffing it back down. So we can force that bend in our partner's arm. Again, sometimes you might go up against a bodybuilder with crazy tricep strength and they're just keeping their arm straight and you can't get past it. We will go later on options for when I can't put a bend in the arm. It's not the end of the world. But if we want to force the bend, what becomes critical is lifting our partner's shoulder off the floor. Even if I don't have my grips locked, because maybe his arm's too straight for me to lock a good Kimura grip, lift that shoulder off the floor, and now I can go over the top of his arm to start forcing his thumb in towards his bicep. I can lock it up, and now I can start lifting with my elbow to finish my Kimura. Right? So again, two issues we might run into: forearm framing against the hip. Right? Instead of just continuing and trying to switch through, the forearm's going to stay in the way. What we are going to do is when that forearm's against my hip, I'm going to face the other way. I'm going to drop my hip over his wrist, and I'm going to do a small back step to pass his hand. I'm going to scissor the legs back in, drop my other hip, and now we're back into our regular Kimura sequence from here. So we're going to step over, we're going to lift our partner, and we start finishing the arm. Right? If from here he managed, before I lifted his back off the mat, to straighten his arm a bit, and I'm finding it hard to bend it again, right? It's very hard to just pull in. You do the same thing. I'm going to lift his shoulder off the mat, and now it might help to bring my hand over the top so I can start forcing his thumb back towards his bicep, locking it up nice and tight, and from here, same finish as before, focusing on lifting with the elbow from there. Right? So, two common issues: his near arm, his far arm, framing or straightening.